We're back, and we're here with the Grand Marshals from the Air Force, and we have Colonel Schaefer and Major Thompson. First, Colonel, tell us what it's been like for you today going through this experience.
This has been spectacular. It's like something that I expected 20 years ago. I flew in Vietnam and came back then and didn't get any kind of a welcome back except from my wife. So it feels to me like it's 20 years overdue, but it feels great.
How about you, Major?
Well, I know my guys back here really are eating this up. You know, they've been back for about a month now, and it's been a little bit slow, but this is just going to just bring it all back to them and make them feel like great.
Well, there's a lot more waiting for you down the road here, and at the end, Magic Island in the park. Enjoy yourselves today, all right? Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you, Major.
Thank you, Dan Cooke, on behalf of my little brother, who is a captain in the Air Force, and all of our airmen and women serving in Hawaii. We wouldn't want to forget the Grand Marshals from the United States Air Force today, and remembering the 150 people from Hickam who served in Operation Desert Storm as well. Also, mustn't forget today, as we talk about this, that many of our service people are still there performing.
That's right. We still have about, we still have a couple 100,000 people that are still there on Freedom's Frontier, is what we call it. And they're still doing their job, and there's still a great deal of to be concerned about. There are all kind of activities going on over there. There's mine clearances, a lot of munitions that are still out there. We think that one 600-pound bomb torpedo is pretty big. You just can't imagine how much ordnance is still there on the ground.
These are the 15th Security Police Squadron from Hickam Air Force Base, and these are some of the people that we were talking about serving in Saudi Arabia in support of Operation Desert Storm. They deployed a 44-man air base ground defense flight to Saudi Arabia. So they were there to serve, and they're marching today for you in this parade.
That airfield security is quite an operation. Airfields by their nature are very large, and to be able to take care of that is really something.
Now that's quite a sophisticated jet, is it?
Yeah, that's a mock-up of an F-16 right there, and it appears their pilot is having a great time out there. He's at a kind of low level today, though, isn't he?
I would say so. As long as it's not John Sununu in there.
That's right. There we go. Then we don't have to worry about any conflict.
I'm glad to see that was a man in uniform in that Air Force F-16 mini jet today. Certainly a treat for the children who have lined Ala Moana Boulevard, the many people who are here today to greet. Right now we have, I do believe, the Air Force 619th Military Airlift Support Squadron Marching Unit among the groups we have here today in the Honor the Warriors Parade.
All right, looks like they still got a lot of life in them too after that 3-mile walk. They're quite an interesting group, quite a sharp-looking outfits they're wearing. What we see right there is the 48th Aerial Port Squadron Air Force Reserve under the command of Captain Christine Lafferty. Christine was a active-duty public affairs person not that long ago, stationed in Guam, and came back here to Hawaii with her husband and went back into the reserves, and now she's the commander of that troop and enjoying every moment of it. I talked to her about 3 weeks ago, and she said nothing like being in charge. It doesn't make sure nobody cares whether it's a rowboat or the biggest ship, as long as you're in charge.
As we watch the Kailua High School Air Force Junior ROTC, you know, we were talking about the reserves, and many of these will become active duty, many of these perhaps in the reserves. We were certainly reminded, America was again during this last conflict, what type of role the reserves play.
The reserves
in
and the
duty.
National Guard. The total force concept is what we call it. About 2/3 of our support and combat service support operation is in the reserves and in the National Guard, and we are tremendously dependent upon their capability and their dedication. All those drill weekends and those summer drill periods that they go through, that they take time off and that they're allowed to take time off from work and not have to worry about their jobs being there. We're talking about tremendous amount of support and a rather large salute that goes out to these citizen soldiers, and that's what it's all about.
We've got a float coming forward here. As you see, the members of the Kailua ROTC, they're leading it. It's the United States Air Force's 50-state flag float. Air Force Hawaii and its veterans thank the people of Hawaii. Mahalo, it says on the side. Hawaii's flag there, front and center. And there we have a big happy wave from the men who are in the front and center in uniform, in their battle dress uniforms. And the 50 flags floating by on Ala Moana Boulevard. A salute to the states and a salute to the people of Hawaii, they say. It has been a colorful parade, and there is much more to come, including the Kaneohe Marines who served in Operation Desert Storm. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a little while.
Coors Light presents A Tribute to the Troops and AT&T Family Day, Sunday, May 19th at Richardson Fields across from Aloha Stadium. Fun for the whole family. Monster truck car crushing, Battle of the 40s, incredible military display, professional wrestling, SOS cook-off competition, classic trucks, carnival games, food booths, Keiki Funland, plus exciting entertainment by Hawaii's own Henry Kapono, Flashback, and our proud Armed Forces bands. Enjoy all of this and more. It's a grand tribute to the troops presented by Coors Light.
Customer service, this is Evan. I'll be happy to set that up for you.
Ikeda. Got it. Thank you, Mrs. Ikeda.
I was thinking about that account. Let's upgrade it to a better pricing plan. What do you think?
That's a good idea. It's all taken care of, Mrs. Ikeda. No problem. I'm faxing it over there right now. Yes, Mrs. Ikeda, I'm still here. No, I haven't had lunch yet.
Evan, visitor.
Customer service.
Mrs. Ikeda?
Good work has its own rewards. Long Distance USA.
Kentucky Fried Chicken asked this man to help prove how irresistible our new honey barbecue wings taste. Just look at those tender, juicy wings, prepared with our savory barbecue sauce and sweetened with just the right touch of honey. For a limited time only, new honey barbecue wings from Kentucky Fried Chicken. So irresistible, the experts are already buzzing about it. In fact, they're spreading the news.
We are back at Ho'ohanohano Nakoa, the Salute to the Warriors Parade. The Village Guard is standing by. They've been around since 1989 at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. And the Hilton Hawaiian Village, of course, supporting the troops by, among other things, providing a Valentine's Day concert with Don Ho for some of the wives and the other spouses of the troops who went away. We're about to have a very special moment here in the parade, too, beyond the performance of the Village Guard. Standing behind them and about to walk forward are veterans from the Vietnam War. And then we talked a little bit earlier, Major, about this being the first real welcome that they feel they've had, many of them.
And if you look around and you look to the left and right of them and you see the reception that they're receiving from the crowd, you understand that this is this homecoming is a homecoming that's very special to them. They are so happy to be a part of this, and believe me, the Army of today and the Armed Forces of today owe a tremendous amount to these guys, a tremendous amount to these individuals right here. Just a phenomenal group of people, and really something.
You know, my father was among them, and I wish he could be alive today to see this. I'm sure everyone who had anybody in Vietnam would wish that today. This is a wonderful sight. Dan Cooke?
Here with Major Spinaio. Major, this has got to have been an emotional day for you so far.
Oh man, outstanding. Outstanding.
So has it been a step side for me, sir? Has it been a long wait for this? Is it glad?
20 years, but who's got it, man?
Well, it's overdue, but we want to say welcome home, sir. All right?
And thank you very much, people, Hawaii and all over.
Okay. Thank you, Major.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, people of Hawaii. You know, as we walked by, as they walked by us, Major Pfister, you could see them raising their fists, smiling, saying Vietnam, saying thank you.
It is quite a homecoming for them. They're just thrilled to be here, and they come from every walk of life, and they came. Nobody, there was a lot of people who chose not to, and they went out there and did their duty, and it's really quite a tribute. What we saw on the monitor before was that picture of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. For those people who go there, who've ever visited that memorial, it is probably was one of the most controversial when it was built, and probably one of the most touching experiences for someone who's had anything to do with that period of time in their lives. No one is left untouched when they go through there. So many people go there, and they had so many friends, and they take the etching off the wall of the person who they wore the bracelet for such a long period of time. And the effort continues to locate those people. The POW MIA effort in Vietnam and Laos after years and years and years of not being able to discuss things, to be able to talk to people, to be able country to country to discuss the issue, we're finally reaching the resolution on that.
We're watching a salute to those Vietnam veterans and others by the Street Bikers United as the parade continues, and many more troops to come, so stay with us.
We'd like to thank you for a job well done, for the pride you've given us, for the courage you've shown, but most of all, we'd like to thank you for coming home.
7-Eleven Hawaii salutes the brave men and women of Hawaii's military.
Our family, the Cutter Team, would like to offer your family a special savings opportunity to see the all-new Ice Capades at the Blaisdell Arena, May 10th through the 19th. For 2 performances, a discount coupon worth $250 off regular ticket prices can be picked up at any Cutter Team dealership. Cutter Ford Isuzu, Cutter Dodge, Cutter Chrysler Plymouth, Cutter Jeep Eagle, Rainbow Chevrolet, Courtesy Pontiac, Cutter Mitsubishi, and Cutter's Ala Moana VW Audi Porsche. See you at the Ice Capades.
Good morning again, Hawaii. We are on Ala Moana Boulevard live for the Mayor's Salute the Warriors, Honor the Warriors parade. We're seeing members of the 25th Infantry, the 29th Infantry Brigade, excuse me, the Army National Guard.
And this is what we talk about with that National Guard units who stand ready to come and be the reinforcement for the first line troops on active duty right now. Look at the size of this group right here. Look at these guys. They're still moving along there real well. Look at the smiles on their faces.
We're getting some smiles, and we're doing some shock assigns to them, and they're shocking back. I don't know if that's protocol or not, Major, but we started it.
Yep, this is one of the groups right here. If you look on their shoulder there, they were also called into active duty in the height of the Vietnam War.
Look at the way they march.
Yeah.
Again, members of the Army National Guard 29th Infantry Brigade. And look at that scene as we look down from atop 1350 Ala Moana to Ala Moana Boulevard to the Coast Guard, which is coming into view. That's the truck that you see there. It belongs to the U.S. Coast Guard. We're seeing the Grand Marshals from the Coast Guard right now, and they include Petty Officers Shirley Allen and Scott Morse of the Coast Guard Reserve Unit Marine Safety Office in Honolulu, and they are being honored for their excellent work as explosive loading supervisors during Operation Desert Storm, and they assisted in the safe load out of ships carrying supplies and ammunition that were destined for the Persian Gulf.
Yeah, the Coast Guard does some remarkable things here in Hawaii. Their search and rescue units save millions and millions of dollars and hundreds of people's lives each year out here along this coast and in the waterways surrounding the islands of Hawaii. First ones to call and first ones to go.
You know, this morning the festivities began about 9:30 at City Hall with official welcomes from both Mayor Fasi, who organized this mother of all parades, as he likes to call it, and from Governor John Waiheʻe. And we want to show you right now just a little bit of what Governor Waiheʻe had to say.
You know, today is a special day. It's a day of heroes, Thanksgiving, and celebration for all of us. We can look back in the very near past and remember those months of anxiety when American men and women were involved in Desert Shield and then in the Desert Storm, going from anxiety to the swiftness of victory and finally to celebration. And we do owe an awful lot of gratitude to the men and women who fought that war for America and fought it well, to the men and women in the military armed services who may not have gone to the Middle East, but who watched the home front and provided the logistics necessary for the victory, to the families of all of those involved in the operation, all of America, all of Hawaii comes together this morning in gratitude and in appreciation.
Remarks from Governor John Waiheʻe this morning, saluting our troops and the spirit that welcomes them here in Hawaii. And you're looking at the Coast Guard's Rigid Hull Inflatable boat. And earlier they had their response van that rolled by as well, showing the Coast Guard presence in Hawaii. We will be back with bands and troops as our parade coverage continues live in just a moment. Don't go away.
Never far away, no matter where you go. What high-octane premium gasoline delivers winning performance. Who can help when that shortcut turns out to be a little too long?
Kentucky Fried Chicken asked this man to help prove how irresistible our new honey barbecue wings taste. Just look at those tender, juicy wings, prepared with our savory barbecue sauce and sweetened with just the right touch of honey. For a limited time only, new honey barbecue wings from Kentucky Fried Chicken. So irresistible, the experts are already buzzing about it. In fact, they're spreading the news.
You stood tall for America, for all the world to see. Now you're back in the island with your island family. You stood tall for America and Hawaii. Welcome home.
Parker Penn recognizes our fearless troops for their heroic victory.
Welcome home.
The Kamehameha School's Warrior Band and Color Guard marching down Ala Moana Blvd as we take a moment to say mahalo to all of you watching this parade on Channel 4 at home. We're very proud to bring it to you, and we're also thankful of your support of this effort today. Behind the Kamehameha marching band, we have a man who's responsible in a large part today, and that's Mayor Fasi, and he is walking with our Dan Cooke.
A lot of planning, a lot of hours have come into this day, and what do you think so far?
I think that the people who put this parade together did a tremendous job. All I did was say, do it, and they did it.
It's been a special day for the military, but I can imagine that walking down the street yourself, you pick up that. Being a veteran yourself, how does it feel from that
fantastic.
perspective?
World War II, I was never welcomed home. I feel like I've been welcomed home.
All right, sir. Mr. Mayor, there goes the governor. Thank you.
This is a moment for Honolulu Mayor Frank Fasi. Look at that. He's got flags in each hand and walking along the line there, this parade that he made sure his staff worked hard to put together. And there he is, along with Governor John Waiheʻe in his traditional palaka power today with Honolulu Mayor Frank Fasi. Dick Allgire is standing by right now in Magic Island. And Dick, what have you got for me?
Hi, Tina. I'm going to have to advise you that we've been out running around here so much, I've crossed my wires and I can't hear you. I've lost my earpiece, so I'm just going to have to take it away on my own. Remember when Desert Shield began, when we first started sending troops to the Middle East, and a lot of people were predicting very dire consequences. People said that we were outgunned over there, that the Iraqis had better artillery pieces. For instance, they had a piece of artillery manufactured by the South Africans that was said to have a lot greater range than ours, and people thought that we might have problems. Well, when it came time for the war to begin, we, you know, it was no contest. We just annihilated them. One of the reasons is because we had all the high-tech equipment, and one of the pieces that we had is here on display at Magic Island. And with me is Staff Sergeant Walker of the Hawaii Army National Guard. What is this piece of equipment behind it?
This is a target acquisition radar. What it does, it picks up targets of the enemy artillery, mortar, and rockets.
So when an enemy artillery round is fired, this can actually track it and pinpoint where it was fired.
It can pinpoint that or multiple locations. It can be several batteries spread out over a broad area. It's capable of storing 99 targets.
All right, thank you very much. Some of the high-tech equipment that enabled us to win the war. Back to you, Tina.
Dan Cooke is standing by with a man who is very important, a very important guest here today, Lieutenant General Walt Boomer, who is in charge of all our Marine ground forces. Dan?
Thank you, Tina. General, I think you had a message for the people of Hawaii, didn't you?
Well, it's been a great day, and Dan, would just like to thank the people of this great city and great state for a wonderful parade and for their tremendous support throughout this whole campaign. We, we sensed that they were behind us, and it meant a great deal to us, and I think was a very important part in the victory that we had.
Could you sense that over there, that many miles away?
Absolutely, absolutely. It took a few weeks, but then it began to dawn on us what was happening and how much the people were behind us, and we could see it in the mail, in the scrolls and the cards and the posters that we were getting. It was quite something.
Now that you're experiencing that face-to-face, it probably means even more, huh?
Well, it does, and it's a little hard to comprehend, but we really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you and everyone that's done so much for us. Sir, welcome home.
Thank you. Good to be back.
This is the man who served directly under General Schwarzkopf. He would have commanded all of our Marines, the Kaneohe Marines, all of the Marines.
All of the Marine Combat Ground Forces there in Operation Desert Storm. Interesting, too, that he's a Marine Expeditionary Force and Marine Corps base at Camp Pendleton, California, commanding general. Quite a record, quite a highly decorated individual.
You know, he was talking about the mail that would come home, that would come to the desert, and that would make it very clear that there was support. A friend of mine, journalist Mark Matsunaga, who is the Advertiser, the Honolulu Advertiser's night city editor, went to Saudi Arabia to cover some of our local Marines who were there with the 3rd Marines. And Dan Cooke is going to be talking to him in just a moment about just that, because I know Mark got letters from Saudi Arabia long after he returned to Hawaii, letters from these men, and got a feel for what was happening there. So I give you Dan Cooke now with Mark Matsunaga.
Mark, welcome home to you, of course. You developed some special relationships with military people over there?
Yeah, it was a real tense time when I visited them right about the first of the year, and nobody knew what was going to happen. I'm real glad all these guys got back safe.
How long did you actually stay over there?
Not very long. We were there in country about 6 days.
When you have come back now, have you run into some of those people that you met and became friends with?
Yeah, I talked on the phone to a few of them. There's still some beer busts that are supposed to happen later on.
I would imagine so. Have you seen any of them here today?
Yeah, I saw a couple. Of course, I was further up on the route, and they're coming now.
From your perspective of having been over there, not really as a participant, but as an observer, what can you say about the men and women who participated in Desert Storm?
Well, I was very impressed by their esprit de corps. The morale was real good. They'd been in country about 6 months when I saw them, and the guys were still pretty cheerful under the circumstances, and they were all professionals. There was no doubt about that.
And a cheerful day today for everyone. Thank you, Mark Matsunaga from the Honolulu Advertiser. Let's go back to Tina.
Very good. Always wonderful to hear about those experiences and to hear that the spirit was so high. We certainly got to witness that once the war actually began, but in the time before that, the time that Mark's talking about when he was visiting, we really didn't know what was going to happen, and there was a lot of tension and a lot of concern, and you remember a lot of families just being very, very worried about what was going to happen, and there was talk about whether or not the Marines were just too tired of waiting and too worn out from all the heat, and yet Mark says their spirit was strong, their feelings were strong, and they were ready. And he got that sense as he flew all the way to Saudi Arabia to do some reports. So that's encouraging.
And you know that the reason behind that was the collective effort and the collective support of the American people across the board. That's what makes an awful lot of difference when you know that somebody cares enough to really feel for you and for your activity, and then every day live that with you.
These are the veterans of Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. We are seeing the United States Marine Corps, the Grand Marshals, the Humvee from the Marine Corps, and the Fleet Marine Force Pacific Band. We're saluting our veterans from Operation Desert Storm here in Hawaii, and I give you Dan Cooke.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you because of all the music. Here with some of the returning Marines. What's your name again?
Corporal Neil Galavies.
Lance Corporal Rivera.
Corporal Elliott.
How you feeling today?
Great. Real proud.
Very proud.
Well, welcome home, and we hope you have a good day today, all right?
Thank you.
Welcome home indeed. I mean, this is what it's about. This is the welcome of the veterans, the largest single group, of course, being from Kaneohe, the 7,500 who went away and who returned beginning only in March 9th. That was the day that we all stood in Waikiki and watched those buses come through from the airport through Waikiki, and the spontaneous parade that happened then frankly made me cry, Major. I was so proud of all the flags and the slapping of hands as those buses rolled by and those faces beaming, and they were home safely.
It was interesting because the first groups that showed up, they were somewhat in shock to see the people just applauding and cheering, and then had their bus ride downtown instead of going straight back over to Kaneohe. And believe me, that's an event that they'll all remember for the rest of their lives. The triumphant return, the first ones to come in, and they were just absolutely thrilled to death. And you talk about mahalo, it was tremendous.
And think about back to those days. We were all living this war with them, certainly in our hearts and in our minds, and watching as these gas masks would be applied, the tension of the Scud attacks when nobody knew what was going to happen, the wizardry of the armaments that had never been tested before in war, the Patriot missiles, the other defense systems and offensive systems of the Air Force and the other branches. A remarkable time in this country when we look back and we think about that from the 16th of January till the end of February, the Persian Gulf conflict. How lucky in Hawaii for us to have had so many serve and so many come home safely, and certainly we wouldn't want to forget today as we salute these returning veterans, the 6 with Hawaii ties who did die during the conflict and during that time. We have Sergeant Damon Kanuha, Lance Corporal Frank Allen, Private Adam Hull, First Lieutenant Mike Monroe, Lance Corporal James Cunningham, Staff Sergeant Mike Connor. These men would not want to forget them. These men we salute along with them. You're watching the Kaneohe Marines march along Ala Moana Boulevard. There is more to come as we salute the warriors, honor the warriors today.
Stood tall for America, for all the world to see. Now you're back in the island with your island family. You stood tall for America and Hawaii. Welcome home.
7-Eleven Hawaii salutes the brave men and women of Hawaii's military.
Welcome home. Cutter team, making the dream. Set yourself free, take the wheel of a driving machine. Turn yourself loose and let yourself go. The cutter team has your machine. Hawaii's driving force.
We are back along Ala Moana Boulevard, the end of a 3-mile march from Ala Park this morning that began a little after 9:30 this morning. Here it is noontime in Hawaii, and we are seeing Marines, veterans of Operation Desert Storm, marching, being saluted, being greeted by flag-waving citizens of Hawaii.
These are all elements of the 3rd Marine Regiment, and they were heavily involved in the operation over there. We had just under 8,000 Marines from Kaneohe who were involved in the conflict, and for these these young men and the young women that are here today, it's quite an event, quite a treat for them. I see my old friend just getting ready to come up here. He was one of the first groups up in Kafji, in that area right there, and they were the first element to go over the line there for the breach. And believe me, these men here were up close and personal with Saddam Hussein's forward forces there, and we owe a great deal of thanks and a real tribute to them, because it was them who sat in that desert there for that 5.5 months, ate that great food that the military serves for you, meal ready to eat, sucked that sand down and put up with the monotony of the day-to-day life. And they are really something special, really something special.
Marching heroes, marching warriors. I know I talked to their commander, Colonel John Admire, who's soon to be a brigadier general, about those tense moments when they crossed the border into Kuwait and during the Battle of Kafji when Task Force Terror was so heavily involved. These were tense times indeed, and it took a lot of bravery, a lot of courage. We're seeing some of the hardware that the Marines had with them. Just alone, the logistics of that war were enough to really confuse most anyone, because we were talking about shipment after shipment after shipment after shipment of hardware like this howitzer.
And what you see right there is, and what's coming into the screen, this 155 millimeter howitzer towed by a 5-ton truck. This is one of the most dependable weapon systems we have, and it provides indirect artillery support to the frontline troops, that wall of steel in front of them. And believe me, it takes some real effort to move that piece of equipment around. Real effort. And that crew on there, when they go through those crew battle drills, really do something special.
We're seeing another flyover.
What we see is a group of about 5 of the attack helicopters right here with their scouts out front. That's the Hueys and the Cobras that are the upgraded versions from the Vietnam conflict there that were so dependable at that time frame there. They're flying over there, and as we know, the air support that we received really played a tremendous role in the conflict, and the helicopters and the attack helicopters, to include the Apaches and the Cobras, were really the cutting edge and the ones who are really out on the forefront.
We also saw a 105 millimeter howitzer come rolling by as the Marines continue to march with their salute from the Army choppers up in the air.
Right, this is one of the smallest pieces of towed artillery that we have out there. It provides indirect support. Also, they call it light caliber cannon, highly capable for low and high angle fire, and very dependable system, been around for a long time, and it's kind of to the point you can even airdrop those things.
Oh my.
Just like your dad would have known back there in the Vietnam era. It was one of the pieces of equipment that we could take and drop out of an aircraft any place to provide fire support.
We have members of we have the Marine massed colors that you're watching here, representing the proud Marines of Kaneohe, the 1st Marine Expeditionary Brigade and Fleet Marine Force Pacific units. These are members there. They participated in Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. And marching behind them, we have the Marine Fighter Attack Squadrons.
Fighter Attack Squadron. These are the guys that were really out there, the land-based and the aircraft carrier-based aircraft that came in and provided the aerial bombardment that so devastated the forces of Saddam Hussein. That almost 30 days of bombardment, that pinpoint accuracy that they talk about, that's the forefront. You talk about some amazing people and some of the most highly trained pilots in the world. Right there, we just saw.
Every now and then we have to pause, I'll tell you folks at home, so that we can also raise our hand and applaud a little bit as these marching men go by. And we're proud of them indeed. We're going to be back with more coverage live from today's Salute the Warriors, Honor the Warriors parade. In just a moment, we'll be back.
And we can tie these new locations into your existing watts line and still give you the lower rate.
Looks good. Let's do it. Remember when we were in that little office in Kakako?
No parking, no view.
No air conditioning? Anyway, I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate it.
New York on line 2.
Right.
Customer supports. We built our company around it. Long Distance USA.
Kentucky Fried Chicken asked this man to help prove how irresistible our new honey barbecue wings taste. Just look at those tender, juicy wings, prepared with our savory barbecue sauce and sweetened with just the right touch of honey. For a limited time only, new honey barbecue wings from Kentucky Fried Chicken. So irresistible, the experts are already buzzing about it. In fact, they're spreading the news.
Because if you don't watch your figure, who will?
It's the right beer now.
Because when it comes to water, the only place to start is at the top.
It's the right beer now.
Because when the party's going full steam, you don't want to fill up. So reach for the beer that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet.
Coors Light, it's the right beer now.
Aloha again, Tina Shelton with Major Tim Feaster. And Tim, were these vehicles the ones that were so important in the false attack that General Schwarzkopf was planning?
That's it. What you're seeing right there is the P-7 assault amphibious vehicle. It was used during Desert Shield and Desert Storm as a troop transport, but it also has remarkable capability. It's the landing craft that Marines use to go up on the beach in. They come off the ships that are out there. It can go even into plunging surf as high as 10 feet. Once it gets those Marines in a protected shell up onto the beach and into a fighting position, it can also provide direct fire support for them and for their effort on there to breach any obstacles that they may have. Very dependable and reliable vehicle, mounts a 25mm cannon, really a workhorse when it comes to assaulting beaches.
They were ready to make that assault. It turned out they didn't have to, because that was one of the great strategies of General Schwarzkopf.
One of the strategies, that's right, that General Schwarzkopf put out there, and it definitely worked because it fixed a huge amount of the forces there along the coastline looking for that to happen. And because we knew where they were at, we were able to push that end run around there almost uninhibited, and it became a very swift end to the conflict.
We had, a few moments ago, you saw this huge bulldozer. That's a BSSG-1 bulldozer and tractor trailer. Again, a reminder of all the heavy equipment that we had to transport over there. That's part of why, in addition to guarding the Kurds, part of why our troops are still there. There's so much military equipment still to transport out of Saudi Arabia, isn't there?
Tremendous amount of equipment still on hand, and we were facing what we consider to be a very formidable opponent with an awful lot of equipment, and that was one of the things that helped in that effort.
You're seeing the veterans of Desert Storm, proud members of the Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station. Here they are, and they're singing to you, and they're marching, and they're being welcomed by the people of Hawaii. They're marching today in this parade that Mayor Frank Fasi helped to organize, and the mayor had some things to say to them and to you a little bit earlier today, and we're going to listen to the mayor as we watch the Marines from Kaneohe continue to march.
In fighting and winning this war, our military troops brought together something that was needed in our country. They brought us together in hope, in pride, in confidence that we are yet the greatest nation in the world. No longer will we have to travel around this world and have upstart third world nations say we are nothing but a paper tiger, to say that we have lost our economic power. The American people, as Desert Storm proved, once we get together and decide on doing what we want to do, anything is possible. And this is why I'm especially thankful for those troops who gave us this total victory that we needed so bad in this time in the history of our country.
The words of a former Marine, Mayor Frank Fasi, speaking as we watch the Marines from Kaneohe continue to march in today's Honor the Warriors Ho'ohano Nakoa parade. That looks like a scene we saw in the desert during training.
Oh yeah, you see a lot of the driver there of the 1st Radio Battalion. A mobile electronic warfare support system is what he's driving. This is one of the communications vehicles and electronic support from the Fleet Marine Force Radio Battalion. The light armored vehicle chassis is what it's on. You notice it rides on tires and not tracks, which gives it a great deal more mobility in the sands of the desert. It provides a battalion with speed, flexibility, and protection on the modern battlefield.
It reminds me that we had the conflict that lasted about 2 months, but we had so many months in the desert of preparation beforehand, and these Kaneohe Marines were certainly part of that, having left in August. And I remember Colonel Admire talking about daily training at night, constant training to be ready, and he really felt that that contributed also to the success of the effort in the desert, was that constant training beforehand, the months of getting ready and preparing and knowing the terrain.
That's right, and it's just like a good coach for any athletic team, prepares his team well for any eventuality, and along that same concept there, the rehearsal and the practice and the routines and things of that nature that led to really swift victory and a great deal of believability in the troops that they were really ready and really capable of doing any mission that they were assigned.
There certainly was a tremendous amount of confidence during and after the battle, the active battle, over our troops and our equipment, and certainly that's part of what we see here today along the sidelines. And among the groups that are here to salute our troops, Damien High School's Monarch Band and Color Guard. It's a little soft music as they march by. We will be back with more color, more pageantry, more salutes in just a moment.
Our family, the Cutter Team, would like to offer your family a special savings opportunity to see the all-new Icecapades at the Blaisdell Arena, May 10th through the 19th. For 2 performances, a discount coupon worth $250 off regular ticket prices can be picked up at any Cutter Team dealership. Cutter Ford Isuzu, Cutter Dodge, Cutter Chrysler Plymouth, Cutter Jeep Eagle, Rainbow Chevrolet, Courtesy Pontiac, Cutter Mitsubishi, and Cutter's Ala Moana VW Audi Porsche. See you at the Icecapades.
We'd like to thank you for a job well done, for the pride you've given us, for the courage you've shown, but most of all, we'd like to thank you for coming home.
7-Eleven Hawaii salutes the brave men and women of Hawaii's military.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Damien High School Marching Band, greeting you the sounds of aloha this afternoon in Hawaii, about 12:15 on Ala Moana Boulevard, as we continue what has now been more than 2.5 hours, 3 hours now almost, of a salute to the men and women who served from Hawaii in Operation Desert Storm, and in fact to the men and women who have served the military, served the country during wartime. We've seen salutes to veterans from World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Persian Gulf conflict as well, and even a mention, of course, of Grenada and Panama, lest we forget those operations that were not declared conflicts. We're watching, in addition to the band here from Damien High, in their fine purple and white, the Kaneohe Marine Base Ombudsman Council organized a flatbed truck, and these are the women, you'll remember, who kept us in contact with their men and kept each other in contact during the war. They served an incredible service for one another.
You have to understand that the weight of this conflict was directly upon their shoulders. They were the continuity factor between all the good news and all the bad news with all of the wives of the units out there. They were the ones that followed up on the problems of the wives and kids may have experienced back here. They were the ones that kept the rumor mill in line. They were the ones that just really shouldered voluntarily all of the controversy, all of the conflict, and lived and died by every news article that was on TV there. And if there was ever a problem, they were the ones to wade in, get the right answer, and get it out to them. And let me tell you, you talk about the backbone of the military, that's the backbone right there.
You know, it said on the back of that truck, till they all come home. And that's appropriate for the Ombudsman to remind us that we are saluting all of the service people, and we are waiting for the return of all of them, including the missing from wars past, in addition to this conflict, till they all come home. A vigilant watch by the Ombudsman and by others, and a salute today from the Campbell High School Marching Band. I believe Dan Cooke has found himself one of many of the clowns who are marching behind the band. They are from the Aloha Temple Shrine, a joyous way to sort of end out the parade here. Dan?
That's right. They're marching and they're riding. What is your name, sir?
My name is Snuffy.
Snuffy? Where did you get the name Snuffy?
From my dog.
From your dog?
Yeah, he passed away and I took his name and I was young.
Well, that's kind of a sad thing for a clown.
Right, but still then, you know, just carrying his name.
All right, Snuffy, have a good time today. The clowns are bringing up the end. I guess, is there a party about to begin somewhere around here?
Just a little party, I think, Dan, huh? We've got the Aloha Temple Shrine clowns. This is a treat for the children, and if you could see some of the faces along here, we've got one little boy who looks totally surprised, and we've got other faces where there are huge, huge smiles just breaking out because the colors and the smiles, the frowns painted onto these clowns. A joyous way to end this part of the celebration, and as Dan mentioned, it's only part of the celebration. There is a huge party still to come at Ala Moana Park. Many more activities today as we celebrate Military Week and as we salute and honor the veterans of Operation Desert Storm.
What a fine day. What a tribute from the whole state of Hawaii to those who went out there and put their lives on the line. Just really remarkable. It looks like it's going to be quite a party, too. We see people walking from way, way, way up the boulevard here, heading towards the park for the beginning of the band, the concert that's over there. There's a large military display, has about 76 different activities going on over there on Magic Island. Really going to be a wonderful day. Going to be a time for the people who are along the parade route to mix with all of the people who participated in the parade, and a chance to people get to know each other. Really be something.
We're watching some of the people who work for the city and county of Honolulu and for us taxpayers here, including street sweepers who are cleaning up after this parade, one of whom is in a military uniform, so perhaps he's a reservist.
Must be a National Guard or a reservist.
That's right, exactly. And Dan Cooke is standing along that line there as we watch the street sweepers. Dan?
If you stand close enough to the side of the street, when these street sweepers go by, they'll polish your shoes. It's kind of dangerous, but it's very effective. I guess, is it time to say goodbye? Let's see if we can get a nice shot of some of these people who are doing a good job of cleanup. Can you see the people in the street cleaning cars? Here's a guy right here. This is actually part of the parade. Let's not forget. Can we get a shaka sign from that gentleman? Of course, the party is just about to begin.
Hey, I'm wondering if we can get to Dick Allgire over at Magic Island, because he's a little bit closer to where that activity is. I'm told that we can't at this moment, but we will in just a second. As you said, Tim, we have people who are walking all the way across Ala Moana Boulevard, coming from the downtown area, who are walking and walking through the park. We have people who are doing that as they prepare to walk over to the festivities. There's a stage that'll be set up there. Don Ho will be the MC. There'll be lots of music. We're going to be here to cover some of that for you as we continue our coverage of today's festivities. So stand by. We're going to take a commercial break, and we'll be back with more in just a little bit. The parade of the street sweepers.
keep that long drive from taking an unexpected turn. What high-octane premium gasoline delivers winning performance? Who's always there to help keep the show on the road?
Kentucky Fried Chicken asked this man to help prove how irresistible our new honey barbecue wings taste. Just look at those tender, juicy wings, prepared with our savory barbecue sauce and sweetened with just the right touch of honey. For a limited time only, new honey barbecue wings from Kentucky Fried Chicken. So irresistible, the experts are already buzzing about it. In fact, they're spreading the news.
We'd like to thank you for a job well done, for the pride you've given us, for the courage you've shown, but most of all, we'd like to thank you for coming home.
Parker Penn recognizes our fearless troops for their heroic victory.
You are looking at Magic Island. You are looking at Ala Moana Park, and you are seeing people begin to gather for the festivities that continue this afternoon, which includes a concert with Hawaii's finest entertainers, and again, a display of just fantastic military equipment, where Dick Allgire has been standing by on Magic Island, and he has a report ready for you now. Dick?
Hi, Tina. Before we go, we want to urge everybody to come walk over to Magic Island and look at some of these displays. They have all kinds of fascinating things. We've been walking around during the parade. I'm standing in front of a bunch of helicopters. This one right behind me is a Marine helicopter that you can see is painted desert color. It was part of Operation Desert Storm. And a lot of the people here are veterans of Desert Storm and have some very interesting stories to tell. You know, the kids can come down there, letting them climb aboard the helicopters and sit in the pilot seat. It's really fun for them. And who is standing here with me?
I'm Lieutenant Commander Jim Trump, attached with the HSL-37 at Barbers Point, and we're flying the H-2 Seasprite. Its primary mission is anti-submarine warfare. We deploy on frigates and destroyers. This airplane is kind of configured for anti-submarine warfare, but the aircraft that were in the Persian Gulf for Desert Storm were configured differently to conduct the targeting missions that they were involved in. But I'm not a veteran myself of the Desert Storm conflict, but our Petty Officer Rogers, one of our air crewmen, just got back. He was on the USS Leftwich.
Okay. If someone comes down with children, you're going to let them get aboard the helicopter and take a look?
We sure will. We'll let them hop in there, and as long as they don't start flipping too many switches, we'll
fly off with it.
Got to be careful.
Right. How long is this display going to be up this afternoon?
We're going to be taking off, I think, about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay. So if you're watching at home, you still have time to come down and see these displays, and you'll see these helicopters take off about 4:30 or 5 o'clock. Let's go to Dan Cooke now.
Thank you, Dick. As you can see over my shoulder, there's a whole different kind of parade going on, and this is the cars and trucks of people who have been so patient behind the parade as it's moved through downtown. Just a quick thing I noticed, and maybe Tina, you and the Major can agree. You were sitting here with us when the Marines went by. The ones that had spent so much time in the Persian Gulf region, they looked thicker to me than the other military regiments. I mean, they were just, those guys, I guess, spent a lot of time training and getting in shape over there. And I don't know, did you see that also?
I'm not going to argue with you. I know many well-built Marines that I've seen walk by on the beach, and I wouldn't argue with you at all. I think they're just in fine shape.
Anyway, just an observation. Anyway, there's a lot more to come on this great Saturday, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Congratulations and welcome home from KITV. We'll be back in just a moment with more of today's festivities live from Ala Moana.
Making the dream, set yourself free, take the wheel. scent of welcome home.
7-Eleven Hawaii salutes the brave men and women of Hawaii's military.
Welcome home.
Hello and welcome again back to Ala Moana. I'm Tina Shelton along with Major Tim Feaster, and it has been quite a day indeed.
Really remarkable and a fabulous salute to the military here in Hawaii, and one that'll be much appreciated and never forgotten.
You know, Mayor Fasi was adamant that it be the biggest parade ever in the state, and I don't think there's any doubt but that you've seen that, because for hours we have seen the military march, the bands, the community take part, the ombudsman, just about everybody who should have been here was here and watching along the lines. And of course, you watching at home, we're very glad that you did that as well. It's just been a great day, and there is much more happening, as Dick Allgire was telling you just a moment ago. Many more activities today. There's going to be a musical concert from Don Ho and just so many of his colleagues in the entertainment industry, and there is that display of military hardware as well. It's the beginning of Military Week in Hawaii, so you're encouraged to take part in those festivities. And we're going to go now to Magic Island again one more time with, instead of Dick Allgire. First, we're going to go to Dan Cooke, who's standing along the parade route where he's been faithful and serving us throughout the morning and into the afternoon. Dan?
You know, there were times when I wasn't sure I was working because I was so caught up in the emotion of the event, and I was actually a spectator just like everyone else. But it has been a special experience here, and actually a healing experience in many ways. Walking amongst the Vietnam veterans as they came down, getting that long-awaited welcome. Quite a feeling, and one that I can't describe, but I hope that we brought some of that to you. Let's now go to all the activity that Tina was talking about over on Magic Island. Here's Dick Allgire.
Hi, thanks, Dan. Well, the parade may be over, but things are just getting started here at Magic Island. This display of military equipment is going to be here all afternoon, and there's some fascinating stuff here. I invite you to all come by and take a look at it. I may stick around and watch those helicopters taking off. They say between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Dick, and thank you, Dan, for your efforts there today and for your thoughts. You're right. This is a day for everyone who's got any affiliation with the military at all to be proud. So many people who serve here in the state of Hawaii who are lucky enough to have been born and raised in Hawaii. I can't say that I was that lucky, but I was brought here by the military because of my father when I was still in high school. And Hawaii's been very good to me as a military brat, and very good to the military indeed, to yourself. I know you'd agree, Tim Feaster. And we just have so many reasons to be proud today.
A lot of reasons to be proud, and a lot of very nice people out there lining the parade route who you just have to keep saying again and again, you know, you're just proud to be an American. Just proud to be an American when you see that kind and that level of support there. And before we get too far into it, I just wanted to say that in addition to the Magic Island, the USS Leftwich and the Coast Guard cutter Sassafras are over there at Pier 8 and Pier 4 today and tomorrow. They really they put on quite a show when you go over there and you see the that vehicle, the Leftwich, actual ship that was out there providing fire support to the troops. Really something to see, and they'll be there tomorrow also.
This is all intended to be a celebration and a day of celebration on this Saturday for the people of Hawaii. We want to thank you very much, those of you who were able to share the parade with us via KITV. We want to thank you. Channel 4 has been very proud to be a part of this, and all the people responsible. You will be seeing a salute via music to our troops and to their homecoming. We just want to thank you again, and we bid you aloha. I'm Tina Shelton with Major Tim Feaster for Dick Allgire and Dan Cooke. Many good wishes. God bless you.
Stand tall.